Hello friends, welcome to the making of a 2D Street Fighter fight game in Scratch, and we are currently in the part 2, and in this part we will be making our player sprite, and we will be making the player move here and there and move perform some actions like kicking and punching. So let's get started. First of all, let me show you what we have done so far in our game. So last time we made our menu scene for the game and it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so if I click in the green flag, you can see the start button keeps on blinking, and we can also see the difficulty selection options. We can select the difficulty selection, and if we click on the start button, we just see an empty stage right now. And today we will be making the player appear in here, and we will also introduce a nice backdrop here. So let's get started. First of all, let's add a nice background to our game. For that, let's just go to choose a backdrop, and we are going to choose some kind of backdrop here. Where is it? Okay, can't see my favorite backdrop. This one. Okay, this one, metro. Okay, we have got our backdrop. Now next, let's create our player sprite. For that, let's go to choose a sprite option, and let's just click on the paint, because we are going to make our own player character. And I've already got my player character here, so yeah, I will just upload all the costumes for my player character. If you want these costumes, you can just comment down below and I'll provide you the link. So I've got all the costumes for my player character. Let me select it. Defeated, halt, ideal, kick, punch and walk. So let's open. So look, I've got everything here. This one's a defeated, this one's getting hard, this one's ideal position, this one's kicking, this one's punching, and this one's walking. And this costume number 1, let's just delete it. That's good. Now let's go to code here, and let me just drag this guy down here. So this will be the starting position of our sprite here, the player. So let me just rename this sprite player, player, player. That's good. And for the making the player characters different mechanism for walking, doing some kicks, yeah, punching, we will be using a concept called finite state machine. So we will not be using the whole concept, but we will be just creating some of the variables that represent different states, and we'll be using those states to just make the mechanism for walking, punching, kicking, etc. Okay, so let's start. First of all, let's make the player appear when we start the game. Yeah, right now if I just click in the green flag, and we cannot see our player right now. If we click on the start, then we can see the player. That's good. And we can also see the background. That's also good. But let's make it something with the code here. Okay, so let's go to the events and drag when I receive reset game message, and let's drag 2 of these ones for. So let's this one, the first one, I'll just select a message called show menu. So if we are showing the menu, we need to hide our character, yeah, this player character, cause in the menu we don't want it to be shown here, the player character. Yeah, we just have to see these options, and once we start, we only want to see our player. So let's hide our character when the show menu message is broadcasted. So let's go to the looks, go downwards, drag a hide block here. So now if you just click on the green flag, so the broadcast message is sent. Yeah, this show menu, and we only see the start button and other things that's related to the menu. And if we click on the start game, then now we have to show the player. So let's do that. So when we start the game, if you guys know or not, we just send the message called reset game. Yeah, so if I click in the start button here, you look, so we broadcast the message called reset game when we click on this sprite. So let's go to players, and here we are going to show the player once we click on the start menu. For that, let's go to my blocks and just create our own block called reset. Let's click OK, and we have got this defined reset block here, and here we are going to just set everything up for the player once we receive the reset game message, so that our player becomes ready for fighting. First of all, let's go to the looks menu, go downwards and drag a show block. So once we receive this reset game message, we will just call this defined reset block, and it will show the player. So let's see, let's go to the my blocks and drag this reset block here. Yeah, when I receive the reset game, we are going to call this reset block, and this reset block is defined here, and it's going to show the player. So let's see, if I click on the green flag and I start the game, then we can see our player now. Yeah, and next let's also fix his position. This position looks good. Yeah, so let's go to the motions, drag the code to XY block here below the show block. Now if our player is somewhere else, if we click on the green flag and we start our game again, then we can see our player back to its initial position. That's good. And next, let's create some of the variables for the state of this player. Yeah, for that, let's go to the variables menu. So our player will be in ideal position sometimes, and sometimes it will be walking, and another time it will be doing a combat move. Yeah, and sometimes it will be getting damaged. So we will just create some of the variables for these states. So let's go to the make a variable block, and make sure you select for this sprite only. Okay, because these variables will be only for this sprite, the player sprite. Oh, what happened? So let's click on the make a variable, click on for this sprite only, and I'll just create an ideal state or the variable. Click OK. So player idle, if you have made it checked on that checkbox for this sprite only, you will see the name of the sprite too in the variable name. Okay, so let's click on the make a variable again and just check on the for this sprite only. So there will be idle state. Next there will be combat state. Okay, click OK. So player combat. Next let's make a variable called damaged, 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 when the player gets hurt. Okay, and next one, for the sprite only, we are going to make walk. No, let's not make walk state. Let's make reset variable also, reset reset variable. Click OK. So we have got we have made about 4 variables for this player character or the sprite. Once idle, it will set to 0 if it's not in idle position. If it's in idle position, it will be set to 1, and if it's doing the combat moves, kicking or punching, we'll set this combat variable to 1, and if it's getting damaged, then we will set this damaged variable to 1, and the reset variable will set to 0 if it's not reset. Yeah, if this hasn't been pressed. Okay, if the game hasn't been reset. So if we press the reset, then we will just set it to 1. Okay, and next let's go to variables block and drags about 4 set variable blocks here, and we are going to set everything here in this defined reset block. First of all, we are going to set the combat to 0. Okay, and next let's select ideal. So at the initial or the first state, the player will be in the ideal position, so I will just set the ideal variable to 1. Next, the combat variable, I'll just set select damaged, and we are going to set damaged variable to 0 also, as for the start, yeah, it won't be doing anything, yeah, it won't be getting damaged. And the last one is we are going to set the reset variable as well, so we will set the reset variable to 0. Okay, because it has already been reset, that's why we will just set it to 0. And that's the initial values for our player. Next, let's go to control and drag repeat until block. Okay, and now here in the repeat until, we are going to check. For that, let's go to operator, drag an equal to operator inside the repeat until condition block here, and inside here let's go to the variables and drag a reset block in one of the equals to operator, and here we are going to check it with 1. So if the reset variable becomes 1, it will get outside the loop. If the reset variable is still 0, it will be inside this loop. Okay, repeat until loop. And next, let's go to the control and let's drag a if block here, and we will just copy this one. Now let's go to operator, drag an equals to operator inside this if block, and here let's go to the variable and drag an ideal variable inside here, and we are going to check it with 1. So if our ideal variable is 1, then we are going to switch the costume to its ideal costume. Okay, so let's go to the costumes tab. So we have got all the costumes renamed. Yeah, this is called defeated, this is hot, this is ideal, this is kick, punch, and walk. So if we are in the ideal position, or the if our ideal variable is 1, then we need to switch to this costume called ideal costume. Okay, ideal means doing nothing. So let's go to code, and in here let me just go to looks, drag a switch costume block inside the if block here, and we are going to switch the costume to ideal. Okay, this one. So if you click on the green flag, you can see our menu, and if I start the game, so you can see our character is in its ideal position at first. And next, let's make our player move left and right. Okay, so for that, let's go to the events, and where is it? Yeah, let's drag the win space key pressed block, and let's just select right arrow. So if you press on the right arrow, it needs to go towards the right side. For that, let's go to the control block first. Okay, first of all, we'll just check something. So let's drag a if block. So once we press the right arrow, and we are going to check if the player is being damaged or not first. So let's go to the operator, drag equals to operator again, and in here we are going to place the variable damaged. So let's go to drag variable, drag a damaged variable here, and let's just check it with 0. So if the damaged variable is 0, that means the player is not getting hurt, then only we are going to allow the player to move. So if the player is getting hurt, then we don't allow the player to move. Okay, that's why we checked the damage variable first, and that's how we utilize the state machine or these variables in our game. Next, let's drag a set variable block in here, and we are going to set the state to ideal. I mean set the ideal variable to 0. Okay, so it won't be in ideal position because we will be moving. Yeah, so let's just set the ideal variable to 0 first, and next let's switch the costume. So let's go to the looks, drag a switch costume block just below here, and we are going to switch the costume to walk costume because we will be walking. And the next thing is, let's just go to control and go downwards and drag a repeat until block, okay, inside the if block, and we are just going to place here some operators. So let's go to operator, drag a not operator inside the repeat until block, and the next is, let's go to sensing and drag where is it, key space pressed block here inside the not operator like this, and we are going to check here if the right arrow is pressed or not. So what we are doing is, once we press the right arrow, we check if the damage variable is 0 or not. If it's not, if it's at 0, then we are set to inside this block. So we just set the idle variable to 0 and we switch the costume to walk, and after that we repeat something inside here. So we repeat what? So once the arrow key is not pressed, means it will just keep on repeating whatever we put inside this repeat until block. So what we want to do is, we want to move our player. For that, let's go to motions, go downwards and drag a change x by 10 block inside the repeat until block like this, and I'll just change x by 5. So this change x by 5 will just keep on repeating, so that our player keeps on moving until we just keep on pressing the right arrow. Okay, if we stop pressing the right arrow, then it just gets outside the loop. And after, if it gets outside the loop, then we haven't pressed the right arrow. That means we switch the costume back to ideal position. So let's set the idle variable to 1 again. So let's go to variables, drag a set variable block just below the repeat until block, and we are going to select ideal, and we are going to set the ideal variable back to 1, and that's it. Now let's see, if I click on the green flag, now start the game, and if I just press on the right arrow, look, it's working, and if I leave it, it just switches its costume back to ideal. Okay, because we have checked here. Yeah, inside this repeat until block, it just checks if our state is in ideal or not. Yeah, if the variable is 1, then it will switch back the costume to ideal. And that's how we utilize these variables. We just check if the variables is set to 1 or is it set to 0, then we are allowed to do some things here. Okay, that's how we utilize the states variable. And now let's do the same thing for left arrow key also. So let me just right click, duplicate it, and let's just make it move backwards when we press the left arrow. So let's select the left arrow, and everything looks fine. Here we are going to check the left arrow, and here to move backwards we will just do -5 here. Okay, so it goes backwards. So let's see, let's just place the green flag, and let's start the game, and I go forward, and if I press the left arrow, I go backward. And that's how we make the motion for our player: move up, move back, move forward. And now it's time for kicking and punching, guys. So let's do the similar thing for kicking and punching. I'll just copy this when left arrow key pressed block, right click, duplicate, and next let's select this is for kicking. Okay, so I will just make the player to kick if we press the Z key. So when Z key pressed, and we also check if our player is damaged or not. So if it is not damaged or it's not getting hurt by the another player, then only we are allowed to attack or kick or punch. Okay, so this looks fine. We set the ideal variable to 0 again, then we switch to walk costume. So we don't want to switch to walk costume, we want to switch to actually which costume, the kick costume. Okay, so let's get rid of some of the codes here, these codes. Okay, we don't need it, so let's just keep the ideal to 1 and let's just delete everything here. So once we press the Z key, we are going to check if the damaged value is 0 or not. If the damaged value is 0, that means it's not getting hurt. We just set the ideal variable to 0 so that we can switch the costume back to another kick costume. So let's do that. For that, okay, let's just use some sound effects also. If we press on the Z key, then we are kicking, that means we want a kicking sound. So let's go to the sounds and just choose a sound and I'm going to go to effects, down, and we have got something called low whoosh. Okay, we are going to use the sound effects. Just click OK and go back to code, and here let's go to sound and drag a start low whoosh sound here. So once we press the Z key, we will be hearing this low whoosh sound. And after that, let's go to control again and drag a if block. So we are going to check something here. So let's drag the if block here inside the bigger if block, and here we are going to check if our combat variable is 0 or not first. Okay, so let's go to operator first and let's drag an equals to operator inside this if operator, and next go to variables and drag a combat variable inside this equals to operator, and we are going to check it with 0. So if our combat variable is 0, then only we are allowed to kick. Okay, because we are in something another state. So let's and inside here we are going to switch the costume first. So let's go to the looks menu, drag a switch costume block inside the if block like this, and we are going to switch the costume to kick. Okay, and next let's also set the combat variable to 1 because we have kicked. Yeah, so it's doing the combat, that's why. Let's go to the variable, drag a set combat or set variable block inside this block here just below the switch costume, and we are going to select combat variable and we are going to set it to 1 and that's it, and it now switches to costume and it kicks, and it's also set the combat variable to 1. And after that, let's go to control and drag a weight block. Okay, and it should be just below the first if block. Okay, inside the bigger if block but below the first if block. We are just going to wait for 0.2 seconds for kicking. Okay, and after we have waited for 0.2 seconds, we just change our state back to ideal. So let's go to variable and drag a set variable block 2 times, and the first one will be, we will just set the ideal variable to 1 so that it switches to its ideal costume after we have kicked, and then we just set the combat variable to 0 back to 0. Okay, and that's how we kick, guys. I think it's done. So let's see if we can kick or not if we press the Z key. So let's click on the green flag, let's start, and let me just press on Z. Wow, look, we can hear the sound effects too, and we can kick as well. So let's do the similar thing for punch. So let me just duplicate this whole code. Right click, duplicate, and we are going to punch when we press the X key. Okay, so let me just select the X key, X, and we just check the damage. Also we just set the idle to 0. After that, let's introduce another sound effect for punch. Okay, so let's go to sounds and search our sound here in the effects, go downwards, and we used low whoosh for the kick, and we will use high whoosh for the punch. Okay, let's go to code, and let's just select here start sound, high whoosh for the punch, and next we switch the costume to not kick but punch. And that's it, guys. I think we can move around and we can kick and punch now. Let's see, click on the green flag, start the game, move around, kick, punch. Yeah, guys, that's it, guys. And we have made our player character, and our player character move here and there. It just switches to different states and different costumes, yeah, while we are moving around and kicking and punching. Yeah, that's great. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe my channel, and I will see you in the next part. Thank you, guys.